So, Mr. Walker, which old guy are you referring to?
Well, you were the one that was making noise about the fact it was 6 o'clock while I was still trying to work the buttons on my computer. So we do have a quorum, do we not?
Yes, we do.
We do. Well, then let's go ahead and get this thing into gear here. All righty. I'm just working my way to my agenda. Bear with me for a minute. Old people here. All right, I would like to go ahead and call this meeting to order, this meeting of the Kitsap Parks Advisory Board. Some remarks before we get started. Good evening and thank you for participating in our remote regular monthly meeting of the Kitsap Parks Advisory Board. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation and ask that everyone be patient as we navigate this electronic platform. We have two formats for participation, the Zoom web application as well as teleconference. Before we begin, I want to review some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell phone or desk phone. This will ensure that we are not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. During the meeting, all participants on Zoom except for board members and county staff will be placed on mute by the host. That means you will not be able to mute or unmute your lines manually. And the chair will announce opportunities for public comment, which will be included in the meeting agenda. For those on Zoom, if you would like to make public comment, please click the raise hand feature to signal that you would like to comment. The sound will be unmuted. The internet participant should announce their first and last name before speaking. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. For those calling in using the phone line only, if you would like to make public comment, please dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to make a comment. The last four digits of the call-in number will be announced and call-in participants should announce their first and last name before speaking. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. Please note, you can hang up or leave the Zoom meeting at any time. So, welcome aboard, everybody. First thing in our agenda is the adoption of our 2024 meeting, our August 21st meetings. Do we have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt the August 21st, 2024 minutes.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I can second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye, raise the hand.
Aye. Raise hand.
Okay, thank you very much. Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, we do have minutes. Okay, so now we come to public comment. Remember, there's a 3-minute limit per person. So Dee, do we have public comments coming in?
Are we going to do introductions, Larry?
Oh, so sorry. Bifocals. Okay, yeah, introductions. Okay, I guess I can go first, seeing as how I've already got the gavel here. I'm Larry Walker, South Kitsap.
Lisa Hurt, North Kitsap.
Amy Smalley, South Kitsap.
John Pearson, Central Kitsap.
Amy Lawrence, Central Kitsap.
Dawn Doctors.
It looks like we're having some technical difficulties at the Eagle's Nest.
Interesting. It's on this end.
We could watch YouTube or Hulu.
I mean, that is a nice shot of Alex there, but
Lost you on the screen, so I am with us.
So have all board members introduced themselves?
Do you want us to continue introducing ourselves?
Yes, please.
Want to try again?
John Doctor, South Kitsap.
Linda Barry Mare, North Kitsap.
Nancy Whitaker, Central Kitsap.
All righty. Now, if it's possible, can all staff personnel? We will save Alex for last while he's playing tech assist.
I can start. This is Reed Weber, Natural Resource Program Supervisor.
And I'm Alex Hardy, Marketing and Events Supervisor.
I was just about to jump in the shower, but I was waiting for the pizza. You got something going on with this? Pizza man. Correct me if I'm wrong, you just said you were waiting.
Wow, I wish I could expand that screen so we could have a really big picture of Alex when he's playing with the remote control.
What's a remote control? Around my house, I never get to touch it.
Nice package. What's the occasion?
I'm allowed to touch it as long as I don't try to do anything with it.
Hi. Just give us some of the funny little kind of strength. Yeah, turn that away. 2908. What you get on a tank of gas?
Hey,
Scully, hold on 911. Order pizza right now and get a free large pizza wing. That's a free pizza on your next.
Can someone on Zoom unmute and say something?
I'm good.
It's the city's right on water for that.
Mine's good.
You're not supposed to have giant things.
I heard you loud and clear.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3.
I don't think she can hear us, so I think that means we have to have these on.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Alex, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you guys.
Yeah.
Are they talking? I can't hear them.
Yeah, we're getting it worked out.
Okay.
Alex Wisniewski, Parks Director, non-technical expert.
Whoa, maybe it's your rig.
Is that everybody now?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. All right, moving forward now, we will move into public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Good evening. This is Casey Patton. I represent the Kitsap Aircraft Radio Control Society. Two things, the work on the Sunny Slope Road is in progress, and judging by the way things are looking like, it might be maybe a couple of more weeks before the roadway is completed. I hope, we hope. And secondly, we're beginning to start our second season of the partnership between the Experimental Aircraft Association and our club with building some models with the young aircraft, with the young Eagles involved with the EAA. This is going to be, we already had 8 last year, and we've got 6 signed up for this year. And the work starts on the 28th of September and is expected to be completed right around the 1st of April. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There are no other public comments online.
All right, very well, then we will move on through. So special presentations and reports. Alex, this one's yours. 2025 budget. This shouldn't be this shouldn't take long, right?
No, it's simple. Thanks, Larry. I'm going to share my screen and just going to pull up the slide deck here that is in your packet. And this is kind of a continuation of the budget discussions and information we've been sharing over the past few months. The graphics and dollar amounts that you have in your packet reflect what the, hey Larry, can you mute? Perfect. This is information that the budget office created. They do this for every department every single year. And this is part of a budget book that gets published publicly every single year. It was supposed to go live this past Monday on the 16th. I know that they've at least got most of the departments published, but I'm not sure if 100% of them are ready yet or not. But nonetheless, this is the information that is pushed out to the public. Have not shared this in past years, but wanted, since we've been talking budget, wanted to the opportunity to share this and say this when we do our budget presentations to the commissioners. And there's also a community advisory group that participates in that. The budget office is there. This is the information that is shared and discussed. This takes a snapshot at our entire department and then at each of the program areas separately, kind of like a cookie cutter looking at each one individually, as well as our budget requests. And so the very first sheet reflects the entire department in its entirety. One other caveat I haven't mentioned yet, this is general fund monies only. You'll remember in some of the past discussions, we have taken a look at some of our special revenue accounts. This is not reflective of any of those. When we do our budget presentations to the commissioners, we don't really touch on any of those. We're only really discussing the general fund. The general fund is the largest budget that the county operates. and is pulled in many, many different directions across the different departments. And our department, Parks, is heavily reliant on general fund monies. This first sheet here reflects the entire department. You will also remember we are looking at a status quo budget from 2024 to 2025 with no new FTE requests as part of the direction that we were given when we built out our budget. There are a couple oddities on here or changes that look strange, but I can explain them. One of them you'll see, and you can see my cursor up on the screen, this large light green portion, which matches this interfund payment, you'll see is a big increase compared to previous years. The interfund payments are transfers of dollars from one department to another department for services provided by that department. So it is a reflection of basically the Parks Department paying for services from Human Resources, from IT Department, from administrative services. And the increase here is reflective of the new division that was created in Public Works. That is the capital facilities maintenance division that covers both capital projects as well as facility maintenance. And so they are redistributing the funds a little bit differently for this new division than they have in the past years. Previously, for facility maintenance, they were just granted a general fund allocation for operating the department. This year, they've switched that up and they've taken that allocation and divvied it out to the different departments that then in basically an accounting action, pay that department for services provided by them. That is what this increase is reflective of. You will also notice a decrease in FTEs from 2023 to 2024 and then staying status quo in 2025. This is reflective of, let's see, from 40 to 39, losing the one position in the capital that went over to Public Works. We did not fill it in 2024, so it's not showing there. And now it has been migrated over to the Public Works Department to provide capital project services back to the Parks Department. So we didn't really lose an FTE. It's still providing services to us. It just moved departments. In this next slide here, and please, if you have questions, raise your hand or just speak up. But my intention is just to provide a kind of a high level overview. A lot of this we've already gone over in the past. Including this slide here, which this section here reflects all of our budget requests that I discussed at last month's meeting. You'll find on here the vegetation mapping request, the wildlife utilization survey, the WCC crews for trail maintenance and vegetation management, the sign and trails master plan, the maintenance for the ride park at Port Gamble. And the new one that was not discussed is the Clear Creek Trail maintenance. This is a new one that got added based on a conversation we had recently with Great Peninsula Conservancy, who has provided a proposal to the county to take on maintenance of the Clear Creek Trail at a cost of $35,000 per year to help fund the Clear Creek Task Force. They are kind of the umbrella for that group. And so that one got folded underneath the Parks Department one-time requests. And then some of these are just switching expenses from one line item to the next, but really has a net zero change. And then the interfund payments, you'll see a big increase in facility maintenance services. And that is that big increase in the green in the bar chart above that I referenced. Parks maintenance, largest program within the Parks Department. We have 21 FTEs. You see a significant amount of the budget for maintenance and operations at 73% is for salaries and staffing. And the remaining dollars, it goes towards utility expenses, tools, materials, supplies for maintaining our parks and recreation facilities. One other item on here, all of the goals that you see here listed as the mechanism by which we judge progress and in terms of our operations are based on the 2018 PROS plan for next year's budget. These will be updated with new goals and objectives. Parks admin, we have 5 FTEs here. Our admin program is kind of the umbrella over the entire department, and we have 5 FTEs that provide services across all program areas within the Parks Department, and together we kind of make up the admin program. It includes myself, our budget staff, our accounts payable staff, marketing and operations, and office assistants. Events, 9 staff, staying status quo from 24 to 25. Similar to maintenance and operations, a significant portion of the budget goes towards salaries and benefits. Parks planning, 1 FTE. You will see what is a slight decrease in salaries and benefits from 24 to 25. That is due to a reclassification of the position. In 24, the position was classified as a planner supervisor, but since they're not supervising the capital specialist any longer because that position went to Public Works, they are reclassed down to a parks planner with no supervisory responsibilities. So a little bit less in salaries there. And then you'll see an increase in the discretionary spending that is reflective of some of the one-time budget requests that were in that slide a few pages earlier, reflecting the sign master plan, the trail master plan, et cetera. Those are captured in this blue box, this dollar amount. And similarly, in natural resources, we have the 3 coordinator FTEs covered out of this. And you'll see the increase in the discretionary spending here too. This is also has some of the one-time budget requests captured here for the wildlife utilization survey, the vegetation mapping survey. Those are captured here as they are intended to be managed through the Natural Resources Program. You will notice, though, that we have 2 additional FTEs in the Natural Resource Program that are not shown anywhere on these. Those are the Natural Resource Program Supervisor and the Forester, and that is because they are not funded out of the general fund. They're funded out of the Forest Stewardship program. That would be one of those special revenue accounts that's not part of the budget presentation to the commissioners. And then lastly, the capital program, obviously a big change here. We have gone from 1 FTE to 0 FTEs and pretty much zeroing out the operating portion of this budget because the operations and the FTE is migrating over to Public Works to that new division that they will then provide services back to the Parks Department from Public Works. So just a change here. And then, then we have the org chart. This org chart is not the same one that we use internally to the department. It is more just to show a reflection of the number of FTEs within each department. The budget office puts these org charts together. They're not quite as functional as the one that we use in the department, but still reflective of the positions and the number of staff members we have in parks. And then in the we were also, this is the second year in a row that we were provided supplemental questions by the commissioner's office to provide answers to. And these didn't change much from 2024's budget process to 2025. So in large part, we updated these based on the answers we provided last year, but some of the questions did change slightly. You will notice in here that a lot of my answers, at least to question number 1, reference performance measures. Those performance measures were not included mistakenly in this document that the budget office put together. So I did email, just noticed that about 45 minutes ago, and I emailed you all Parks Advisory Board members the document that is that shows what those performance measures are. And so you can kind of use that to reference back to the answers here. I also have some printed off in the building here for if anybody here wants a hard copy. I've got that as well. We'll update this and repost it on the website with the rest of this later. Anyway, that was a little confusing without having that performance measure document. So apologies for that. And I'm certainly not going to read through every single question here, but happy to answer any questions or comments that you may have regarding this budget book document that reflects the Parks Department, our upcoming budget presentation to the commissioners on September 26th, or the county's kind of overall budget process, if you have any.
I have a couple of questions. One is it's more of a concern is that planner position's been open for a while. And, sort of my concern is, that's a huge impact on the department not being able to fill that. And I know that, the numbers here in this dollar amount, their salary would go down. I don't know what the actual salary would be because that's budgeted, but I'm concerned that dropping the salary fairly significantly on a position that's already had difficulty being filled would only make it less competitive and less likely to be filled.
Excellent comment and good observation. We have, since the reclassification of the position, reposted and tried to push out the advertisement to every nook and cranny that we could find where planners might go to look for job announcements. We received 18 applications to date as of yesterday at 4 o'clock when I had a meeting with Human Resources. And absolutely none of them met minimum qualifications. We are looking at a different approach because the position is so critical to the department. And we are exploring a way to what the county refers to as underfilling the position. So of the 18 applicants, 8 of them actually qualify for an associate planner, which is one step below a full planner. And basically the difference is the amount of years of work experience that they have or that they need in the 2 different positions. And so we are going to look at possibly hiring someone in at an associate planner level, pairing them up with a mentor internally to help provide that kind of professional development, skill development internal to the county and bring them along. But in the meantime, we would also be able to get the position filled. They wouldn't have as much experience as we're hoping for, but this may be our best opportunity and path forward to getting someone in the position and then be able to do some internal mentoring and training. That aside, the other comments reflective of, I'll just say, are we being competitive in the market with our salaries and wages? The county has completed a compensation study and across a whole ton of positions and different classifications and family of positions across all the departments in the county, including 2 groups of positions that have been very, very difficult to hire, planners and engineers within the county. And part of the budget process as we march into 2025 is an implementation of that compensation study findings. So I don't know exactly what that means just yet for the planners or for some of these positions, but it will play out over the next few months as the budget process rolls out. So it is very likely that some of our positions will see increases in wages to help bring us into a more competitive place. And hopefully maybe that coupled with, and looking at this kind of mentorship opportunity to fill the positions, we'll be able to fill the vacancies.
But if it's an associated planner position, would it be even less? Would the salary be decreased even lower than what was shown as a planner position?
Yes. And then they would have to meet certain benchmarks and experience years in order to then qualify for to get that salary bump up to the planner position.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lisa, and then Don.
Thanks. I was curious too about the same position. And in the meantime, we're using Public Works, is that right, to fill that void?
I'm sorry, Lisa, could you repeat that? I couldn't quite hear you.
Sorry, I was like thinking, okay, so I have a question about the capital projects planner as well. And in the meantime, we're using Public Works to fill the void. Is that right?
No, the capital project specialist position is permanently moving over to Public Works. So it's not like a temporary move and then it will come back. Within Public Works department, they created a brand new division called the Capital Facility Maintenance Division. Within that, they have hired engineers and project managers, and they will lead capital projects on behalf of all the departments in the county. So the Parks Department will become a client, so to speak, or a customer to the Public Works Capital Projects Division to facilitate all of our capital projects. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and that was my concern. Once again, we're contracting out, so is Public Works gonna mark up that service to Parks? So are we paying more to have Public Works do the job that we seem to not be able to fill because they were able to fill that position?
Generally speaking, when you are utilizing internal staffing and services for, regardless of what department it's in, it is cheaper than hiring a contractor from outside the county to do that. The reason for this was to help align all of the capital projects into one department so that you have all of your expertise there together, creating a team of people that together can work on capital projects for Public Works, for Stormwater, for the Parks Department, for the Facilities Department, for emergency management, for anyone, rather than each of those departments, trying to retain one person to do, basically all project management from start to finish. They will actually have a well-functioning team that can do everything, and individual people there who are focused on certain aspects of it. In my experience in having Public Works manage like the Stottlemyre parking lot for us because we didn't have the staff to do it, I was really impressed with their kind of quote unquote machine that they have there, in terms of they've got people dedicated to the engineering task. They have people dedicated to the construction management, dedicated to the construction inspections, dedicated to the administrative components. And when we were doing it in Parks, we only had one person trying to do all of that. And so it was really hard, excuse me. And the intent of creating this new division is to kind of across the entire county, provide more kind of comprehensive and expertise in one place.
Yeah, I was just kind of concerned that I don't know if Public Works always sees eye to eye with what our vision is for parks. That's just where I'm coming from.
Oh, totally understand you, Lisa, and that is a good comment. As well as ensuring that, we develop a process of prioritizing projects that is fair and equal across the departments too, so that, we aren't getting shortchanged on our needs. But yeah, it's a work in progress, and yeah, good observation, good comment.
My question referred back to the monies that we're going to have to increase salaries. Will the monies for that be coming from a county-wide pool, or will parks have to find places within our current budget to reduce to increase those salaries?
It's a good question. Are you referring to the compensation study and
yes, the
findings from
increasing
that?
of marketable, yeah, for
Yeah, that is, the intent is no, we're not looking at, reducing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, or reducing one department to increase somewhere else. This would be ultimately across the county, a larger demand financially on the general fund. So it would kind of, the expense would be spread out across the general fund.
in children and young adults. Call your healthcare provider right away.
Do we have any more questions for Alex?
If we don't have more questions, I was on, after we're done with the budget discussion, I wondered if we might be able to discuss that draft letter that I had put together, because that's pertinent to all of this. Are we ready? Would that be okay?
Larry, I'll leave that to you as the chair. You could do it now, or you could do it under, old business, since it's, either one's fine by me.
Well, we're kind of on topic right now, and and as opposed to going through everything else and then coming back to budget, so we had to put our budget hat back on. So, is there any hesitation to move right on into that? Anybody got concerns about it? Well, then I guess we will go ahead and go into this, and well, I will let you take the lead on this.
So just to provide a little bit of background, I think that we didn't have the full board at the last meeting, but we did have a discussion about our concerns that our suggestion had been made previously, that we request that the funding for the natural resource supervisor position come from the by the Parks Department retaining a larger percentage of the revenues from the events and facilities rentals, because we were concerned about the ongoing, essentially a conflict between the natural resources needing to essentially cut trees to fund two staff positions. And I think that's the meat of the issue. So we had a discussion in the last meeting, but I think there were only 5 of us. And I know that back last spring, we had a discussion with the Finance Budget Committee and then with the board. So I don't know if all the board's members had heard this discussion, but I just put a draft letter here, but the meat of it is the concern that we would really like to see the funding source from that be switched, so that we only had one position funded from the forestry proceeds, and switch the other position to be funded from events and being able to keep a greater percentage. And I have no pride of authorship, so I could absolutely mark this up and make revisions to anybody that wants.
Comment? Yeah. I have a comment. So I like the letter a lot, Linda. Thank you for writing it. I was just curious if, we should ask for more, like, maybe get the forester off that too, and not fund, positions within the department by cutting trees, because again, like you say, it is a conflict of interest with what we're trying to do as a parks department. And anything we do end up cutting, that could be used as, for special projects or whatever, if indeed we need to thin an area. But it's again, once we start using it, it's a slippery slope, because we'll start looking for forests to cut because we have to pay the forester, or, that's kind of my concern anyway.
My question is, while we're getting started on discussing this, how much money are we talking about with the 20% that we're getting now and then going to a 40%? And how much are these salaries costing us out of this money?
Alex, I think that would be your cocktail napkin speech.
Yeah, I can provide a little bit of information on that. My couple comments. My back of the napkin math before the meeting here would indicate that in order for If we were to retain revenue from our events and rentals program, which we're only able to retain 20% currently, in order to absorb an FTE, it would need to increase to approximately 50% or possibly a little bit larger. So about a 30% increase. Definitely don't hold me to that number. We would need to go talk with the budget office just to take a look at that. So that's number one with regards to the numbers. The comment number two would reflect a similar concept that I'm hearing here, which is want to get staffing off of the requirement of making money through our forestry program. I would also indicate that, you know, we may also want to look at not putting staff on a requirement of making revenue from our events and rental program for the exact same reason or similar reasons. Definitely not exact same, but similar reasons. So I might suggest that if the board wants to send a letter to the commissioners to talk about you getting 1 or 2 staff members off of the revenue contracts from the forestry program to, you know, indicate that we want to, you know, move these to general fund funded or another source. We don't have to solve the problem necessarily, but at least indicate that there is, you know, conflict with keeping it on the forest stewardship revenue. Those are my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And thank you, everybody. Chair's going to step in here and make a little noise, and then I'll remute myself so you don't have to listen to the TV. My recommendation would be, is I like the idea of getting both people off the forestry products system and moved into general fund. My recommendation would be one piece at a time, move resource manager to general fund, get people used to it. Also, it makes it a little easier. You owe me one, Alex. Makes it a little easier to move numbers around so we can make this a little more palatable in the near term. So, you know, I would think maintenance and operation would be a good place to put that money, but I haven't gotten totally conversant in the budget. But that's what I would recommend to everybody. I do like the letter. I really do like the letter. And I am not going to be somebody who's going to wordsmith somebody else's hard work. I've had it done to me and I get really crabby. So anyway, that's the chair's little take on this, and I will back on out of here. Any other comments?
I think Nancy and Don were both trying to speak.
Go ahead, Nancy.
What I was thinking that, I mean, there's still variable density thinning to be done, but that's an end game. I mean, I would think phasing it out a percentage a year over the next like 4 or 5 years, because there is an end. I mean, variable density thinning, we're not going to be adding enough parks, I don't think. I mean, it'd be nice, but if it was left in place but phased out over a period of time where budgets could be adjusted, and that would pertain to both positions.
My comment is that I had a question about what the downsides were, and you kind of addressed that. That we do request that the 2 positions be put into the general fund. And I know there's a conflict here because I would like to personally see them both done at once. and put a strong case for, this is a really important component of our program. These are supervisory positions and an important management position equal to, you know, what we're doing with the ball fields and the fairgrounds. That these are really important and need to be put into the general fund. My only concern is that, and it's kind of a good time and a bad time, because we're needing to find extra monies from the general fund to compensate these salaries currently that, you know, we're lacking behind with some of our engineers and other salaries that we'll be having to find funding there. So is it better to ask for the two positions at the same time they're having to figure out this funding for all of these positions? Because I'm concerned if we don't ask for both of them, then it will take a long time down the road. And if we start piecemealing it out, like, oh, we're going to phase it out, you know, a couple % or whatever every year, how do we really want to emphasize the importance of these positions and that they really need to be funded. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's.
Larry, I'm wondering if, first of all, I don't disagree. I would love to see both positions funded from the general fund. But having been an elected official and gone through budget seasons, it's when they give the guidelines that they can't ask for additional staff within the department, it's hard to come back and say, well, we're asking for 2. But I'm wondering if we should at least make the point that maybe in the long run, we feel that both positions should eventually be moved to being funded by the general fund budget. And my feeling is the most important thing is to move in that direction, to make that point, and maybe we lobby more next year. But I'm wary of asking for 2 positions because I'm afraid that if we ask for too much, we might get nothing.
Well,
Somebody was trying to speak. Who was it?
okay, I said, my thought was not a few percent, but 20% a year over 5-year pot. By the end of 5 years, these are funded out of the general fund, not the timber. So as you take 20%, that's something you can plan for over a 5-year period. And it's not like asking for the whole game in 1 year.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do right now. I have heard no objections to the concept of the letter. You know, the details on what we may ask for, there's some back and forth on that, which by the way, I like. But let's, Alex, could you keep notes and poll our membership on whether they wish to move forward with a letter? We're not going to nail it down to 1 or 2 yet. We're not going to nail it down to the mechanism, just moving forward with the letter. Could you poll our membership for that first?
Larry, I'm not exactly following what you mean by poll our membership.
Call the roll and they say yes or no. Come on, Texas, don't talk fancy. Yeah, just about whether or not we want to move forward with a letter to move 1 or 2 positions into general fund.
You can certainly do that. Yeah.
Well, you got a better handle on who all's there and everything, because I can't see in my bifocals, y'all are still look like ants.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking you to do it.
Okay. I've got eyes here. You can, ask a question. Those who approve the concept of a letter that would support moving to staff members onto or at least off of the forestry stewardship program funding in some way, shape, or form, yet to be determined, as I'm understanding this, Larry. I guess, raise your hand in showing in favor of sending that letter to the commissioners. And you have unanimous hands up, Larry.
Okay, good. So we can move forward on that. Now, let's, from this point here, is our goal to do one or two? So raise hands for if we want to move two people. This is not, I don't want the timetable yet. Just, do we want to put two people into general fund? So go ahead, raise your hands if you want to put the two people in there.
You have,
Not voting for the one. Whether it's a percentage or whatever, but yes, eventually.
Yeah, we're not looking for the mechanism.
But it's eventually the two people.
Yeah, we're not looking for the mechanism yet. We're looking for the number of people to move. So is everybody good with, we want to move two?
you have a majority saying move to. You have.
Okay. Okay. Say again?
Not unanimous, but you have a
No,
majority.
have a majority. Okay. So now, Alex, I'm going to ask of you before we start to ask of the board, which would be the better mechanism to do it? Percentage by percentage? I did like the 20% a year, gives them a chance to adjust because budget, October surprise and budget season is always a bad thing. So Alex, which just, not that we're going to follow your direction, we rarely do, but which would you think would be better?
I think you don't need to get into specifics. I think you can offer concepts, and that could be, one concept is one foul swoop. You do, 2 FTEs all at once. Another concept is what Nancy was indicating, where you do something slower, more methodical over time. Another concept is you do one position instead of two. You could, in all honesty, you could offer all of those within the letter as ways to do this. And then, let the commissioners review and determine how they might want to move forward.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to the board now and let y'all converse amongst yourselves here. I'm going to stay on mute for a while.
Larry, you have 3 hands up. John, then Lisa, then Don.
Okay, John?
For me, the concept of advancing possibly 2 at one time would quiet down a number of the people who in the background who, when we first proposed this, were sure, very sure that we would be cutting all the timber on the parks to pay for these two positions. I don't think that's right. Most of the complaints that I've heard are still coming from the north end, but that's the way it goes. There's a couple from the south end too. And Coleman pretty much keeps anything quiet about Newberry Hill. But that's the main thing on advancing these two. People can see that we are trying to get them off of the cutting program. So that's where I stand. We should do that with 2.
Yep,
Okay.
I agree. I think we should just start with the 2, not even propose the 1 position, because once you set that precedent, it's hard to go back, it seems. And, it shouldn't be taken out of that fund in the first place because it's just too conflictive. But anyway, yeah, I think we should just start with the two positions, both of them, and ask for exactly that and clarify why.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. As a point of clarification, we have agreed that we want to move 2 out. All we're talking about now is constructive letter and mechanism to have it happen. So who's up next?
I agreed with Lisa that we should move the two forward at this point in time together, because I'm afraid if we are successful, say this year, that if we have to come back next year and say, could we do it again, that we've already given it to you last year. So I'd rather at least give the two at once. And I like the idea, as Alex suggested, of giving them multiple options that we have considered or thought about, so that it makes it, I think, a stronger argument that we've taken time to think about it, understand that, you know, we're asking for more money, but trying to give them a way to put it over 5 years or however they choose to do it. And I think it also might be nice, I'm pretty sure all the commissioners are aware of it, but I think the making it a direct statement about the conflict of interest created by a position that has to fund itself through, well, in this case, the sale of timber, but it could be anything else, is kind of awkward. And I think it'd be nice to give a statement of why we would really like to see these positions transferred over within a reasonable amount of time.
Amy Lawrence has her hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I totally agree with moving, you know, this funding of these positions to a long-term, more sustainable pot of money. But I want to push back a little bit on the idea that you know, I don't think that the thinning operations that we were conducting is necessarily in conflict with the ecological management of a lot of the forests, because the thinning is done to accelerate succession and to open up gaps in the canopy in these former timber harvest lands that the Parks Department has acquired, and I think was done in a really mindful and good way. So I kind of disagree with that idea. I understand the idea that, you know, extractive uses of the land to fund positions isn't ideal, but in this case, at least for some amount of time, I think it was necessary for sustainable management of our forests. So I just want to I don't want to hit that too hard, in my opinion.
Yes, Lisa.
I agree with Amy in that we needed to do a lot of the extractive thinning right now, but it's not sustainable. You know, there is
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, there's an end point to this. So
Right.
that's why we're trying to jump ahead of the game right now and say, look, this isn't, you know, the cash cow here. We need to like figure out what to do before that happens. And then, you know, if we do have to do extractive thinning in the future, again, that money could be used for, you know, projects for the parks, or maybe to help with the natural resources, hiring, you know, Washington Trails or whoever they want to hire. But yeah, so
right. If we say that what we had done was in conflict with our management of the parks, I think that would prevent us from doing it in the future. Right. So
one of the reasons I suggested that both people be moved off, but it be done gradually over a period of time, whether it's 3 years or 5 years, get 5 years, 20% just seems like a round number. But that would make more sense, that we want them off of there. We don't say we have to have them off of there today, because there will be ongoing thinning for sure for a while. But again, eventually, unless we add more timberland, that resource is going to run out.
right, and that's why it's kind of arbitrary when you pick a number like 20%, because we don't really know if we have enough timber to pay for those positions, or the one position for 20 or 5 more years. I mean, really, you know, when they clear an area, it's a huge chunk of land, and there's not any more to do right there for a long time. So how much land do we actually have left to thin is my question. And, you know, is that adequate for 5 more years? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think we have that many trees. I mean, there's Eglon. We've got Eglon and there's a little bit left at Port Gamble Forest Heritage, maybe. I don't even know. I think we already did all that. Those are things I don't know, but yeah, how many more trees do we have to cut?
Alex, that's kind of in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's a really good thought, Lisa, and that is something that Kevin has been working on, an update to our forest stewardship policy, as well as taking a look at analyzing what we have left on the ground and kind of projecting out what does this look like over the course of how many years. What is the kind of financial component that goes into this? And you know, kind of, we don't have all that dialed in yet, but it's being worked on, and it will come back to the advisory board. But it's not ready, but very good thoughts. We don't have all those answers just yet.
Yes, those answers need to be answered before we even come up with an idea, I guess.
How soon do you think you would have those numbers? I mean, we want the letter to go, so.
I don't think you need the numbers in order to send the letter.
I have a rough projection based on the work already done. The revenue from sale of forest products as a part of a restoration program, definitely our current projections is definitely not enough to sustain both positions in the short term, but it is enough to sustain one position over at least the next 10 years.
I wanted to mention that back when some of us were advocating that Steve Bauer get involved in this and go for such large acquisitions in the north end, that Steve Bauer, who was our commissioner and who had been a finance director professionally, worked pretty darn hard with Arno to write this proposal coming forward, because the goal was to, it was 2008. It was a financial crisis for the county. The county was laying off people. Lots of people were on furloughs. And the goal was, how can we obtain more parkland? This has all been a tree farm and also be revenue neutral with the staffing that we know we're going to need to handle the forestry options. So I think it was designed. I mean, I'm glad to hear Irene say that there's, 10 years of kind of reasonable for the forestry position, because it was supposed to, the hope was to get us over that hump, because we do have, what we bought was tree farms, and some of it's over densified. I'm wondering if maybe what we can do is, as we wind up the discussion, is that just give it to Larry to finalize it, if he would, and maybe keep things general. But I have no problems, Larry, with letting somebody else edit my draft letter, which is in Word and very editable.
How dare you pull my trick and volunteer somebody while they're sitting there in front of you? You have learned from the master. So what I've heard here tonight is we do want to move eventually both people out. Irene has indicated we definitely have enough job security for 10 years with one person, which means if we start moving them out at the 20% rate, we should be able to absorb the impact. So that will take care of our issues there, right?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure I didn't doze off in the middle of the discussion. So if you want me to do the editing on the letter and everything, I'm perfectly happy with that. What I can do is I can edit it to move both people out at a 20% rate. Recommend moving both people out. No rate, just make them, just step change, move them out. And then also as an alternative, both people out at both positions out at 20% per year, 5-year time frame. And we can put that all together. Now, is everybody good with both those, with either one of those approaches, if we can offer it up to them? Okay. So show of hands. If those two together will work for you, let me know. That'll work. How's the room doing in there, Alex? I can't see.
Yeah, you have unanimous hands.
Unanimous hands. Okay. So at this point, not having anything to actually officially vote on, we have a consensus that we want to move those two positions out at worst case scenario, 20% per year. Funding system to be determined by the county commissioners. We'll let them actually do something this time. If we're good with that, Alex, you said you're briefing budget next week?
Yes, we're doing our budget presentation based on the information that is in your packet, and I just walked through a little bit ago.
Okay, you're going to be briefing that budget packet there. Can you give them a verbal indication that the advisory board is making this recommendation? I will have the verbiage in your hands so you can get it out to everybody. But we don't have a chance to have a meeting between now and when you go and brief the commissioners.
Yeah,
you can give them that briefing.
I can inform the commissioners and the county administrator of the Parks Advisory Board's desire to recommend to the commissioners that they would like to see this change that you just talked about. I mean, I can almost guarantee you it is not going to happen in fiscal year 2025.
I realize it's going to be like putting socks on a rooster, but what the heck?
Well, not necessarily. It will be part of a longer conversation that might get some daylight for the 2026 budget, but it is really good to at least start to get the conversation flowing. So
hey, we got the first rock in the puddle for 2026.
Yep.
And Larry, I'm wondering if maybe you could just make those modifications and send it so that Alex has that piece of paper, because they've directed him not to ask for staff members. And it seems better that, we're a Parks Advisory Board and we're weighing in with our advice that at least I don't care about the wordsmithing. I trust you completely to make those modifications and send it off with Alex. But I think that that's better that he's armed with our letter.
Okay. What I will do is I will now I was wondering what I was going to do with my spare time tomorrow. Thank you for arranging my day. I appreciate that. I will wordsmith that thing up, ship it to Alex, and Alex can ship it out to everybody. So everybody will know what's being carried out there, and I will try not to damage your good works. Okay.
Yep. Once received, I'll be happy to shepherd it forward to the commissioners. And I can share it out with the rest of the Parks Advisory Board too. I'll do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right. So sounds like we've actually knocked out an agenda item.
Yeah.
Cool. Yay. So moving on, Parks report. Physician nominating subcommittee. That's mine. Okay, I need 3 volunteers. Who wants to do this?
When is our timeline on it? December?
So according to the bylaws, it says the chair shall appoint a 3-member nominating committee no later than September 30th. Elections shall be held from a slate presented by the committee and nominations from the floor. No real specific timeline on the elections, but there is a specific timeline for identifying the 3-member nominating committee, which is no later than September 30th, which is why we have this earmarked for today's meeting.
Question, are there people whose term on the board are expiring?
That is a really good question. There are 3 individuals that were notified earlier today. Dawn's filling in as for a position that expires at the end of the calendar year. Grady's term ends at the end of the calendar year, and Lisa Smalley's term ends at the end of the calendar year.
Amy Smalley?
Amy Smalley. Oh, sorry.
You got a new name.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So, I guess Larry, what are you asking? You want people on the nominating committee to choose, new board members?
Yeah, y'all chat amongst yourselves and nominate chair and vice chair.
Yeah, Lisa, this is for nominating a chair and a vice chair for the 2025 calendar year. The three members whose terms are expiring, they have the opportunity to indicate to the county they want to continue with those, and then that goes to the commissioners. Ultimately, it's up to the commissioners to either reappoint existing members, or if members don't want to continue, the commissioners will generally conduct some level of interviews and then appoint somebody new. But the board doesn't really have any involvement in who those specific people are.
Okay,
Just
so,
just the chair and the vice chair.
oh, just the chair and the vice chair, okay.
So I'm looking for volunteers.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, good. I was just getting ready to draft you. Thank you, Lisa. We got one. Got Lisa. Anybody else?
This is volunteering for the committee.
For the committee. Yeah, yeah.
I just won't be available in October. So I
I
could,
can be on the committee.
I can be available to get this done.
Okay. So who do we have here so far, Alex? We got Lisa.
Correct.
Okay.
Amy Lawrence and Nancy.
All right. Well, thank y'all for stepping up. So cool. Appreciate that. And the candidate search begins. I will let y'all know that I've only done 1 year in the hot seat here. I am willing, if y'all will have me back. This is your chance to get rid of me. If y'all have me back, I am willing to step up for 1 more year. That will also invalidate me for being chair for 2 years, which is a good thing. I learned that from John Pearson. So, okay, well, thank you very much on that one. Moving on along. Alex, director's report. Or Alex, Irene, and Bree. Wow.
We are here in force tonight to chat your ears off. So we have a couple updates for you. I will start us off, and then we'll go through the other staff members covering their various programs. On the capital projects front, I wanted to draw some attention to the Point No Point Phase 2 beach and shoreline repair project. As you know, the Phase 2 repair project has been, permits have been in place or been submitted since May. We have had the local permits come loose from community development. We have not received the state or the federal permits at this time. Those are generally specific to work being performed in the water in that is required to do in that fish window or that water work window from August 15th to October 15th. That is the time frame we were really hoping to conduct the Phase 2 project. Obviously, as we sit in the middle of that time frame practically right now, we are not going to meet that challenge in 2024. What we are working with our engineer firm on is taking a look at taking that Phase 2 and dividing up the scope items there. There are some scope items in the phase 2 work that are not in the water, that are landward and could be done in a sooner time frame than the water work, which will need to wait until at least the fish window in 2025. So what that includes, which would be repairs to the parking lot, adding beach material to the north beach to elevate it even further than it currently is. Currently, we are at about 12 feet, which was the pre-storm conditions, and part of our proposal to increase protection and stability is to add 2 more feet of beach nourishment of the sand material and do a bunch of vegetation planting in the soils to help with stability. If we're able to move those 2 scope items forward faster, then we accomplish the north beach. We would then be able to remove the sandbag wall that currently sits on the road, the entrance road, which would then provide the proper width on that entrance road, which would allow us to open up the park to the general public. There would still be other scope items that would need to be postponed until next summer for that August 15th fish window, which most predominantly would include the reconstruction of the rock revetment wall in front of the lighthouse that is getting eroded through those rocks currently. So we are investigating currently what that would look like. Why that is such a challenge is that our initial scope, our engineering drawings, and our bid package for the construction was all crafted with all of these scope items happening at the same time. So if we do tease this apart into 2 phases, we need to take a look at, 1, do we bid it as a single project with 2 separate timelines? How attractive is that to a construction firm? Or do we bid it as 2 separate projects based on their own timelines? To do that, we would have to do more work to the engineering drawings. The bid packages would need to be different, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is part of the analysis here and the decision making to figure out how do we move this forward. But it's been a slow process, but has not ever really stopped moving. It is just, it is mind-numbingly slow. So that's where we're at with Point No Point beach repair. We do have some good news on the capital front, and that is with the HVAC that you have heard staff talk about for a year now. And we have finally have movement. The 2 HVAC units that have been delayed 5-6 times this year are finally in town. They arrived, they were received by carrier, and we are now working on an installation schedule. So the hope is possibly by the next meeting, we will have a new air ventilation system in the Eagle's Nest in the parks office. So fingers crossed on that. And nothing has changed with the North Gateway parking lot at Port Gamble. It is still scheduled and on track for construction in the first half of 2025. With that, I am not sharing my screen. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pass the next update off to Alex Hardy to talk about marketing and events program.
All right. Thank you, Alex. While you get your screen going, I'll just touch on a couple of items that are not in the packet this evening, but wanted to bring attention to in August, we had the fair event at the fairgrounds, as well as the Blues Festival over Labor Day weekend. Both events are produced by the Kitsap Fair and Stampede Association, and they are two of our largest events that we host at the fairgrounds. Both events were highly successful. Prior to the fair event, we had an all-staff beautification day on the fairgrounds where we worked really hard to clean up the fairgrounds in preparation for the event. Natural resources, maintenance, and events, we all came together to work to get everything ready. And I think by far this was the best year we've had with the fair, just working together, collaborating with them. And it was great. Even though the rain came that 1 week of August, it was still a really great week working with them. And then the Blues Fest the following weekend. This was in partnership with the Admiral Theater in Bremerton, and it was a first-time event, but really great weekend. My staff had nothing but nice, good things to say about the event and the people who were in attendance at the event, and they all really wanted to come back next year. So then, Alex, I can jump in now, and if you don't mind going to the event data area. Thank you. That's a lot of scrolling. All right, so I'll start here going through kind of our monthly data for events and our facility rentals. The first slide here is for our community building rentals. You can see right now we have passed, or we are right where we what we did in 2023, and we still have, you know, the last part of the year here coming up. To help fill the holes and gaps in our schedule, you may have seen on social media us pushing out our community building rentals. We've done some posts for Long Lake, Island Lake, and the Eagle's Nest, just trying to fill the schedule and also start filling up 2025. For the next slide here, this is our athletic fields. This right here is on track for what we do have done historically. One thing to note is right now we are in the middle of our field ops, and I'll let Bree touch on that here a little bit more when she presents. But basically, when we do our field ops, we do need to close each field for 2 weeks at a time. So this year, Bree and I worked really well together to coordinate a schedule that minimized the impact to user groups. So we've been able to, you know, slide one group off of Anderson Hill Field 1 and move them over to Gordon Field 2 so that they can still have access to a field and keep up their practices, just maybe not at their preferred location. It's always, when I look at these numbers, it just really highlights the need we have for athletic fields, and we don't have enough. So we have to get really creative with our scheduling in order to get our maintenance done on the fields. The next slide, here's our picnic shelter rentals. Right now, we're in the last month for reservations. We end the season for picnic shelters on September 30th. We are on track for having our best year since pre-COVID with our picnic shelter rentals, so I'm really happy with that. My staff this year, we did surveys for all of our picnic shelter rentals, so we'll be looking at that data here coming up and analyzing what we can do better for next season. And then the last two slides, the fairgrounds events, and then the next one, which we'll get to here in a second, for special park events. These are pretty much set for the end of the year. We're not going to see much change in these, just because the types of events we host at these facilities, they usually book 1 to 2 years out. So these are going to be pretty consistent from now until the rest of the year. One thing is that we are starting to book 2025 and working to get all of our historical events on the schedule. So that way we can open up the remaining weekends to maybe those weddings or other types of events that we fill in throughout the year. And that's all I have for this month, Alex.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the performance measures under marketing and events program, they talk about athletic field rental hours as a % of target occupancy. So on these fields, like the athletic field usage we just looked at, is that part of this rental hours, or is this just usage of groups that go out and use it for free?
No, so on the athletic slide, those are rented usage hours. So those are only hours that we are reserving the facilities and collecting payment for those facility rentals.
Okay, so it indicates that we're only at a 29% projected occupancy.
What page are you on?
I'm
This is
looking
on-
on the performance measures page.
That,
Alex
emailed. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a printed copy. So the performance measures, so this is one of the data points that goes into calculating the performance measure. What you'll see on here, if you take a look at like Gordon Field 1 versus some of the other fields, there is plenty of room for additional rental hours on some of these other fields that we aren't achieving for a variety of reasons. We don't have proper drainage, lighting, et cetera. And so that type of calculation to determine how much available time could we potentially rent our fields for versus what we actually are helps get at the performance measure. There, we have a full calculation that helps kind of lead into that.
but it seems misleading in a way to me, because if we can't really rent these out after dark, then that shouldn't be part of our projected target, right? So we might be reaching our target 100%. I'm just throwing out something, but so Alex made the comment that we need more fields or more usage, but if we're only looking at using 29% of projected, that tells me that we have plenty of fields. So we should also be looking at, we're at capacity for times that we could actually use them based on time, light limitations or water or whatever.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'd have to go back and look at the specific calculations that go into the performance measures. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we did that last year as a first attempt at trying to figure out how to calculate all of the field rentals, and we did take into consideration the fields with lights and having certain hours that they're available. But basically, if we put right now a synthetic turf field in the South Kitsap and a second one in Central Kitsap, I guarantee you the hours would be right there with what we're seeing on Gordon Field 1 without us having to do anything. There is that much of a demand and need for athletic fields with lights that are playable year round. And the school fields help offset what we do, but they really are not consistent or available as much as the user groups need them. So I think, you know, I understand what you're saying, Don, but I'm just trying to figure out maybe a better way we could look at that so we can definitely highlight the need for fields that are playable year round.
Alex, is there any pushback against a synthetic field being unhealthy and also very toxic to the environment?
Actually, I've done quite a bit of research on that, and I've reached out to the school districts and looked into it. I mean, there are definitely articles and reports out there with those concerns. However, you know, the school district, the Central Kitsap School District, they shared all their documents and planning information, and they didn't have any parent complaints. I've reached out to all of our athletic user groups, and they don't have any concerns or parents complaining either. But I'm definitely, you know, doing my research and looking. I know there's like cork and alternative type materials that are better for the environment that we can look at using as well.
Thank you.
Alex, anything else?
Unless there are more questions, I do not have anything else.
I have a question. This is Linda. I was wondering if in the pros plan, I can't remember, if there was specific levels of service established for field hour availability per population or something like that, because I do, you know, I think Dawn, you know, mentioned that, you know, there's kind of a disparity in what you're seeing on the ground, that we don't have enough fields, and this performance standards, which made it sound like, you know, made it look like we were covered that, but I wonder if there's a level of service also for field availability and how we are on that.
There's nothing in the Parks and Recreation standards that indicate that a community should have a certain number of hours or fields or recreation facilities per population.
Okay.
They used to do that. But the NRPA, the National Recreation and Parks Association, has backed off of that. And instead of promoting every community should have the same amenities, X, Y, and Z, they better or more promote the local parks jurisdictions to engage with their community to find out what their specific and unique needs are and to meet those, so that every community is not identical, and so then doesn't fall into the same bucket that you should have X number of pickleball courts, X number of soccer fields, X number of acres of open space per population. So there's they used to do that, but they don't have that same metric any longer. All right. Bree, I've got you up next for maintenance and operations update.
Okay, thank you. I'll start off with the ball field, what we called field operations, our maintenance cultural practices that we do to preserve the safety and durability of our playing fields. It's the Northwest, so we have lots of people who want to be outdoors, but not all of our infrastructure has the right kind of drainage as Alex has indicated. And sand-based fields specifically need a really healthy stand of grass. And so we are cultivating it with an aerator, overseeding the high impact areas, top dressing it with sand, applying fertilizer. And then that's where the anywhere we've overseeded is why we close those fields for 2 weeks. So as Alex mentioned, we're doing a great job this year coordinating around the user groups and making sure we can get their fields ready for them for the amount of use that they, you know, they're on them so much that ideally we would be doing some of these activities more often. You know, it all comes with a cost. But one of the things we've also done is invest in irrigation training for our staff. And we've recently sent 6 staff members to an irrigation technician training through Rainbird, because we can conserve quite a bit of water and get those nice deep roots if we have some skilled irrigation technicians and operators. So So that's where we're at with the ball field operations. We do have a couple of vacancies, M&O worker vacancies that we have made 2 offers, conditional offers, waiting for final acceptance of those. And those would be 2 M&O worker positions in the central and the south regions. We've also had to spend quite a number of dollars recently on our rental houses. The Wynn Jones property recently had about $1,200 worth of repairs needing to be done. A new water heater, a new spot in the cluster mailbox. Guillemont Cove, the rental house, had some plumbing issues. We contracted with Herdman Plumbing. That was about $2,500. The Callison rental house, the renters have vacated, and with the Calvinwood rental house also being vacant, we hired an inspector to come in and give us some estimates or some indication of the state of deferred maintenance, so we can get some estimates on what it would cost to keep those going, or to offload them in some way, or transition some of those spaces to park host sites using the infrastructure that's in the ground, the electrical and the sewer and the or the septic and the wells. The Calvinwood house recently lost access to water because of vandalism down at Calvinwood. The well house building was broken into, and they damaged some of the pump the pump infrastructure that's within that well house, and we're getting an estimate from a repair place right now. Securing that well building is top priority at this point. So our rental houses have a number of challenges that we're seeing. The more that we need to invest in them, the more we want to get out of being, I think, in the rental business. So that's what M&O has been up to lately.
Thanks, Bree. Questions for Bree? All right. Irene, are you still with us?
I am still here.
Fantastic.
No huge updates from the NR side this month. Just be aware of it. Rainier is performing some road work within Port Gamble starting this month. So some trails will be sporadically impacted, but they'll be primarily on the roadways. So just pay attention to the signage that's out there, and they will be hopefully wrapping that up before it gets too wet. Our Discover Kitsap Parks walks are continuing. In August, we had a walk out at Ely Preserve on the history of the park and its acquisition, led by one of our stewards, Vic Olsch. We have another walk on the September 28th at North Kitsap Heritage Park on the topic of ecosystem services. So I encourage you all to attend that. Lots of volunteerism over the summer, lots of work going on, keeping the trails brushed back. It was a very high growth year with our nice cool weather. So there was a lot of work that needed to be done to keep the trails in good condition and stay on top of the weeds. Definitely want to shout out the Washington Youth Academy. This is a school here in Bremerton that has 3 platoons of cadets who come out and do a lot of volunteer work with us. It's great to have these students come out and volunteer with us for an entire day. We have 55 students. They put hundreds of hours, labor hours in at each event, and donate thousands of hours of volunteerism every year. They primarily are working on trail work projects and invasive species projects. So I really appreciate having this group out in the parks with us. And that is all we have from natural resources.
Thanks, Irene. Question, go ahead.
Irene, who will be leading or presenting the September, the September Discover Kitsap Parks at North Kitsap Heritage Park?
Sure, that will be the Jefferson County Conservation District Forester. So it'll be a little bit of synergy between our two counties. She'll be coming out and talking about ecosystem services and forests in general. It's either Jefferson County or Mason County.
Question, I don't know if it falls in here, but since she brought up the military academy, if you haven't had a chance to work with these kids, it is a blast. It really is. But we had a situation where, and I don't even remember who was there that morning, and he had to leave. And Frank has not been able to get the first aid part of his leader, you know, being a work party leader. So we got permission to tag team. I am a CERT volunteer, so I have all of the first aid and AED and all that kind of stuff training. And so I went over and took the park employee that was certified place as far as first aid, and Frank was the leader. And it worked out well because, I mean, God, to send 50 of these young men back where we had them for like another 3 or 4 hours would have been a shame. So is that something that could be kind of a standard practice? And do you want to have people that are first aid certified register with you so that you can fill in when somebody needs them if there's a first aid person available?
I think it would be best to, go through the lead volunteer training and being on our lead volunteer roster, which includes the first aid certification. So those would be the types of people that we're going to tap for that. We do.
Irene, could you repeat the answer and maybe get a little closer to the mic? We could barely hear you.
Sure. How's this? Any better?
Yes.
Great. So we strive to have staff always available at these work parties with the Washington Youth Academy because they are a little bit complicated and we have a lot of a high number of youth volunteers. For volunteerism, for helping out with those, I would encourage people to reach out to the volunteer coordinators and get registered as a lead volunteer, which includes first aid training.
Well, I was out of town when the last park leader event was took place, and I talked to Frank today on a work party we had going, and he tried to get in a first aid class and it was full. So
reach out to Erin, reach out to your coordinator, and they'll be able to get you the training you need.
I couldn't hear.
Reach out to Erin.
I think it's also important to remember with Washington Youth Academy, they also bring first aid gear and everything for their students. And I think they're the primary givers over parks when they're out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they had somebody that day because they announced me as their person. So
Thanks, Irene. Any other questions for related to natural resource program? Excellent. Then I will wrap things up here. Touching on the filling in as the planner, touching on the pros plan. As described in the update here, we at the county made an internal decision to and I guess adjust the remaining timeline and the sequencing of the pros plan for its approval based on the end of the year congestion that we have on the commissioners and others schedules, most specifically with regards to the county's comprehensive plan. And so what we are looking to do, or what we are going to do, is move the county's comprehensive plan forward towards approval, targeting the end of 2024. And once completed, we will then bring forth the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan for its review and approval process in early 2025. The intent is to help alleviate the demand on everybody's schedule to do this, and to allow for more public review, oversight, input, and participation in the two plans by separating them rather than running them in parallel. And so just want to explain that this is not a consultant delay. This is a decision that county staff and the commissioners made to separate the timelines. And so that's the kind of update that I have currently. We should hopefully soon have the next round of updates or the next draft version from the consultant on the pros plan here pretty soon. They did a pretty good job on the first draft. Staff provided comments back, and we are waiting to see the second draft. If it is in good enough shape, we may be able to move some of the review and approval process simultaneously with the comp plan, but we would time it out so that the actual approval and public hearing components wouldn't happen until 2025. But I don't have all those details just yet. We don't want to over kind of convolute and complicate the timeline with the comprehensive plan too. So, Lisa.
How is that going to affect the RICO grants that we were supposed to get? The RCO, sorry.
Lisa, could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. How is that going to affect the RCO grants that we were supposed to be getting, or is it, or how is that going to work?
Okay, great question. We actually, it's not going to impact our relationship with RCO or our abilities to apply for or get grants through RCO. RCO has been updated throughout this entire process. They have received the updated plan, and they are, as long as they're seeing the progress that we are and the consultant is making, they're okay with the slower timeline. So we're okay there.
And is there any way for us to see a copy of the changes that you've made to the pros plan before it gets submitted?
Very soon, hopefully, but we haven't received the second draft back yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. That's it, Larry. Turning it back to you.
Oh, joy. Oh, joy. Thank you very much, Alex, and all hands there. Nice update and everything. So let's see, where are we at in our agenda? Community Outreach and Visitor Services, Alex Hardy.
Yes, so the subcommittee met last Friday, and we had a really great discussion about the policies that we've been drafting and working on here for the past year. As a reminder, these are new event policies that cover athletic field rentals, picnic shelter rentals, community building rentals, fairground rentals, and special park events. So we hopefully will have something more to share and bring to you in October. And anyone from the subcommittee, you're welcome to add any comments here too.
Yeah, we did go over stuff. I still have a problem with where the last draft is. structure for the special use permits and the participation fee and trail use fee. So I think it might, might be helpful to bring in the board on those issues. Because it's something new and it's, I'm wearing two hats because I participate in an event that this would dramatically affect us. So, I mean, I don't participate, I'm very involved in an event. And so, and I'm sure I'm not alone. And so, I don't know, maybe get some weigh-in from the board on those items would be good.
Would those come to the board before it goes into final implementation, Alex?
Yes, so typically from the subcommittee, we look for the subcommittee to make a recommendation to the board to move that forward, then to for the commissioners to review and sign off on.
Okay, all righty. So maybe there needs to be a little bit of sorting out, or maybe it could be, the recommendation comes from the committee to us that it's not a unanimous recommendation, but there was a consensus. So anyhow, I don't want to keep us too late and everything because we're getting laid on into the evening and everything. And I've been given a homework project for tomorrow morning, so I kind of need to get to that.
And Alex, just to add a little, unless you already said this, which if you did, I apologize, but the intent is to bring the policies and fees to the full Parks Advisory Board at the October meeting, correct?
Yes. I did say it, but you just stated it more clearly, so thank you.
Spoiler alert, we already know what we're talking about next month. Cool. All right, well, thank you, Alex. So now we're to the point of district representative reports. Do we have any reports from our district representatives?
Well, Newberry Hill had a great work party with the Youth Academy, and we have another one coming up Friday also. Man, those kids get a lot of work done. The quote applesauce gang, if you haven't heard about them, is a Wednesday morning work party, and I was there today. Dragged along a 18-year-old that's 6'2" to help me keep up, but lot of Scotch broom removal, dug up small willow trees for transplant, and so they're in a holding pots right now. So that's what's going on at Newberry.
Well, like of course, I haven't personally been out in Banner for a few months here for obvious reasons, but I have been hearing good reports about a lot of people showing up to do stewardship, mostly as trail brushing and stuff, getting things ready for the winter time. But that's pretty much what I know about that. As a personal sidebar from the chair and everything, hopefully I will be in person on next month.
I think I saw you at the Blues Festival, didn't I?
No, that could not have been me out there dancing on just next to the stage in a wheelchair. Could not have been me. That was a really good organization. I had a good operation. I heard nothing but good reports about fairgrounds and about the people that put that thing on. So kudos to parks personnel and for that.
Yes, it was a good event. I was there all 3 days.
So any more reports? Hearing no reports, one more time for opportunity for public comments. Hearing no public comments, the only thing left on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. I would entertain said motion.
Larry, hang on. We do have one public comment. Joe
Oh, we do?
Lubisher has his
Okay.
hand up. D is working on the tech.
It would
Good
not be a meeting without Joe. Thanks for showing up, Joe.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Lubisher from Indianola. Can you all hear me? No? Can you hear me?
Yep.
I
Okay.
got you, Joe.
Two comments. One on the discussion about the importance of usefulness of restorative thinning. You know, right now it's mainly a logging program. The first cut at North Kitsap and the most recent one at Port Gamble, I understood, had no specifications for leaving standing dead trees per acre or for leaving wood on the ground. So that kind of activity is important to simplistically woodpeckers and salamanders. So I think there's some opportunities to expand the definition of restorative thinning and taking it away from simply logging. Second comment has to do with planning and funding for the resource assessments, especially the ecological assessments, to be done yet at Port Gamble, Eglon, Coulter Creek. So last week you were talking about all that money was going to be part of the capital improvement plan, but it looks like maybe not, that's going to be in the operational budget now. So the one item, the wildlife utilization, we understand that one's for Port Gamble. So I'd like to find out this vegetative habitat line item for 65,000. What specifically is that? What is that for? And for example, with respect to Eglon, if there's not going to be anything in the budget for 2025, are we planning right now to pushing that all that work off till 2026? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Larry, do you want a response?
Would you like to respond now or?
Oh, I'm happy to touch on a couple of the items. When we shared the one-time requests last month under the banner of the administration program, they were presented as a budget request. If I indicated they were part of a capital component, that was inaccurate on my part. They're just part of an operational one-time request. Trying to think of what else you indicated what is in the study. We can get you some information on that offline. And then the last item, Joe, what was the last question you had?
Well, I had a question about what the vegetative habitat was and what it was, which park it was for. And then since we don't have any money in there for Eglon or Coulter Creek, are we putting all that off till 2026?
Yeah, thanks. Eglon was the one I was missing. Eglon, we have a very small rollout plan that once the transfer takes place to county acquisition, we intend to put up our signs indicating that it is owned by the county, our park rules signs, and then continue to work with KPTOS on the trail maintenance that they're currently doing on the existing trails. That's about all the capacity we're going to have for Eglon for 2025. And we will look to position ourselves to do more work in Eglon in terms of the environmental studies in 2026 and beyond. We are trying to put a lot of effort in 2025 towards Coulter Creek, as that park has been the start again, stop again, start again, stop again effort. And as long as we can get a planner on board and get through some of these studies, we'll be able to move that one forward to then clear up our plate to start in on some work in Eglon in the future.
Flies.
Thank you, Alex. Any more public comments?
Move we adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor? Hands up. Or say aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? We stand adjourned. Everybody, want to thank you for your time and well, we will see you next week. I'm really sorry that we all missed the gubernatorial debates.
Between two what?
Yeah, whatever. We might be being recorded, so I'm going to keep my pie hole shut. Good night, all.
Night all.